Hi, my name is Rebecca, and I'm going to teach long tail cast on a circular needle.
I'm going to demonstrate the long tail cast on, which is probably the most popular cast on, and probably a cast on you learned if you learned this before, but you might not have known what it's named. It's called the long tail cast on because when you do it, you have a tail and the working yarn, and the tail is long versus starting with a slip stitch and just having a short tail. So what's going to happen is we're going to start with the tail, and you'll have to pre-measure this for however many stitches you put on, and that's a thing in and of itself. Often I end up casting on twice because I don't have a long enough tail. But you're going to hold your working yarn with the tail towards you and the yarn going to the ball away from you, and then you're going to take your knitting needle from the right, and with your hand making this like Y or V shape from the side, you're going to go into this like a slingshot. So you're going to go down, and then your hands are going to grab both the strand towards you and the strand towards the ball and hold them like this. So you now have like a little bouncy thing in the middle where your needle starts. So you go down, put your yarn in this loop under your thumb, and you're going to go around and grab the loop going over your finger and pull that through. This is loop from the thumb, and that's going to be attached to the tail. I'm going to pull this up, but not snug it tightly. And now we have one stitch, and this I will call stitch 0. It does not really exist. We're going to get rid of it when we start our first row. And then the next stitch is the same way. So you're gonna always go back to this like slingshot type shape with your hand. So you'll go under, through the loop under your thumb, grab the loop by your finger, pull your thumb out, and pull that in tightly. Again, under through the V, grab the loop by your finger, pull the loop off your thumb, and tighten it slightly. And I'm just going to finish doing some so I can show you how we deal with that last stitch. And it'll be a little different whether you're joining the round versus knitting something flat. This stitch that does not exist. If you're doing a long cast on, I recommend using stitch markers and putting them every 10 or 15 stitches. If you have to count twice, you should have used a stitch marker. So just to have them on hand, you will use them constantly. All right. So now I'm going to go back and I'm just going to make this garter stitch. So I'm going to knit every side, and I'm going to show you what happens when we get back to this stitch right here, which is not a stitch, remember, it's stitch 0, and how we take care of that. So knitting flat, you're going to go in and knit your stitches, or purl, whatever your pattern says, across until you get to that initial loop that we used when we were starting the cast on. Okay, now I have the first stitch we made and that initial loop over the right-hand needle that is not a real stitch. What happens when we get to this, if it's knit flat, we're just going to knit two together basically, grabbing both that loop that isn't a stitch and the actual stitch and pulling it down. And I don't know if you can tell, but this will basically disappear within the work when you're working. And then that's it, you're ready to keep going and follow your pattern, whatever it calls for.